It's 1600 hours, time for the news on freedom. My name is Mikhail Branov, and I'll tell you the main news of the hour. Hello? 102 drones were launched at Ukraine by the Russian army last night. Half of the launched UAVs were Shaheds. The rest were Gerberas, Tolmazes, and other types of drones. Air defense forces managed to neutralize 93 targets. The attack on Ukraine was carried out simultaneously from 5 directions. In Kherson, a Russian drone hit a children's hospital. The drone flew through a window and didn't explode. This was reported by the regional police. There were no casualties. Sappers are working at the scene. They're examining the remains of the drone and the explosive device. It was made from an anti-tank mine. In total, dozens of settlements in the Kherson region were under Russian strikes over the past day. Residential buildings, infrastructure, and property were damaged. One person was killed and another was wounded. Almost 30 times in 24 hours, the Russians attacked the Dnipropetrovsk region with drones and artillery. In the Nikopol district, a 17-year-old girl was wounded and hospitalized in moderate condition. A 26-year-old man was also injured. Enterprises and cars were damaged, and in Kryvyi Rih, the attack caused a fire, damaging infrastructure, a private house, and a car. A fire was also recorded in the Zaitsevo community of the Sinelnikove district, where infrastructure was also damaged. 8 people were injured in Kharkiv as a result of the overnight Russian attack. The occupying army launched a missile strike on an apartment building. Internal structures in a balcony of one apartment were partially destroyed. The victims suffered acute stress reactions. Immediately after the missile attack, the aggressor hit the same area of the city with a drone. All relevant services are working at the scene. In the Zaporizhia region, Russian troops attacked the village of Kushuhim with a strike drone. The explosion occurred near a public transport stop. 2 women were wounded. They are receiving the necessary assistance. In total, over the past 24 hours, 3 people were injured in the Zaporizhia region due to Russian attacks. Just 13 kilometers from the front line in Druzhkivka, Donetsk region, the evacuation of civilians continues. Special police units and rescuers evacuate up to 10 people from the city every day. Most often, these are elderly people and those with limited mobility. According to law enforcement, 7,000 people remain in Druzhkivka, and their lives are in danger every day. How the evacuation from the frontline zone is going, more in our report.
There! Faster, faster. By the fence. This is a typical situation during an evacuation from Druzhkivka, Donetsk region. The city's 13 kilometers from the front line, and enemy FPV drones are already flying all over the place. This makes it very difficult to evacuate people from the combat zone.
Morning in Druzhkivka. Morning in Druzhkivka. Empty streets, ruined houses, and more buildings are coming under enemy fire.
Due to relentless shelling and constant drone activity, since December 2025, Druzhkivka has been officially declared a combat zone. Since then, people have been leaving the city more and more often.
Good afternoon! If you decide to evacuate, give us a call. All the best for you. Take care of yourself.
Currently, according to local authorities, about 7,000 people remain in the city. Most of them are elderly, and some have limited mobility.
Hello?
Hello?
You signed up for evacuation, right?
Yes.
So you're a bit unsteady on your feet?
Well,
Maybe we can just take you by the arms?
let's do that.
Little by little, no rush, small steps.
Mainly, police and rescue workers handle the evacuation of the civilian population. Each of these services has its own special unit. The police have White Angel and the SES has Phoenix. Each service evacuates an average of 5 people per day.
In Joseph.
Was this today? When did it hit?
At 5, just after 5. 5 minutes past 5 in the morning.
Every day, the Russians carry out indiscriminate strikes on the city streets, like they did right here, for example. People were ready to leave, but just before their departure, an aerial bomb fell in the middle of the street.
Let me take the bag.
Ah, Lord.
Due to deteriorating living conditions and increasing danger, even those who hoped to wait it out at home are leaving.
It's just impossible to bear it anymore.
It's unbearable now. Half the night we're watching where the hits are. We're constantly listening. Cabs. They're very scary. I went out on February 20th to trim the tree branches near the house, and a cab flew 8 meters above me into the kindergarten yard. When I saw all that, the black smoke, the sun disappeared, it was like night. And I said, that's it. I can't take it anymore.
Evacuees are taken to temporary shelters, where volunteers and local government bodies work with them further. They're the ones who help find housing in safer regions of Ukraine. Dmytro Glushko from the Donetsk region for the Freedom TV channel.
The defense forces of Ukraine struck a VALDAI radar system and a 4-post drone control station in temporarily occupied Crimea. And in the Donetsk region, a command post, an ammunition depot, and areas of enemy force concentration. This was reported by the General Staff of the AFU. Also, logistics depots were destroyed in the Donetsk and Zaporizhia regions. Data on enemy losses are being clarified. Ukrainian defenders regained control over an area of about 470 square kilometers, destroying more than 11,000 Russian troops. This was stated by the commander-in-chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Alexander Syrsky. According to him, despite the stubborn resistance of the Russian occupiers and dense mining, Ukrainian units are pushing the enemy out step by step. 150 combat engagements took place at the front over the past 24 hours. According to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, the most difficult situation remains in the Pokrovsk direction. There, the Ukrainian Defense Forces repelled 42 attacks by the Russian occupiers, 23 in the Konstantinivka area and 22 in the Huliopol area. The Russians also tried to break through the Ukrainian defenses in the Alexandrevsk, Sloviansk, and Lyman sectors of the front. Ukrainian defenders repelled all of the invaders' assaults. 1,000 Russian military personnel were eliminated by the Ukrainian Defense Forces over the past day. And the enemy's total losses since the start of the full-scale war already exceed 1,293,000 soldiers, the General Staff reports. Also, yesterday, the Ukrainian military destroyed a Russian tank, 9 armored vehicles, 68 artillery systems, 2 MLRS, and 217 units of enemy vehicles and special equipment. And on to other important topics. Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha announced a visit to Kyiv by EU Foreign Policy Chief Kasia Kallas and EU foreign ministers. The meeting will take place on March 31st, on the anniversary of the Bucha tragedy. Kasia Kallas emphasized that European partners will arrive in Kyiv with a unified position of support for Ukraine and a signal of solidarity.
This date's symbolic. We will mark the grim anniversary of the massacre in Bucha and reaffirm our commitment to holding Russian criminals accountable for this and other crimes. We will also discuss EU support for Ukraine, pressure on Russia, and efforts to achieve peace and protect long-term stability in Europe. Andriy Sybiha, Ukraine's foreign minister, on the social network X.
The Ukrainian military held a demonstration session for instructors of Operation Interflex in Great Britain. The operations commander, British Army Colonel Andy Broadman, observed practical exercises that Ukrainian soldiers practiced during real combat operations. The program consisted of 5 modules: combat in the city and the forest, neutralizing an ambush, clearing trenches, and using drones for reconnaissance and striking the enemy. As the General Staff reported, such exercises confirm that Ukraine is moving from being a recipient of aid to an equal partner sharing unique combat experience. And the focus on FPV drones highlights the leadership of the armed forces of Ukraine in the use of unmanned systems on the battlefield. Ukrainian interceptor drones are the most cost-effective, simple, and efficient solution in the fight against Shahed-type strike drones. And military departments of various countries, including those in the Middle East, are interested in these developments of the Ukrainian defense industry, how interceptor drones work, and what the crew members who use them say in the following report.
This is the takeoff of one of the Ukrainian interceptor drones. Even then, in the Kharkiv region, Russian attack UAVs target civilians almost every single day. To keep them out of the city and region, several air defense lines were established. Specifically, using interceptor drones, operators block Russian UAV flights during night attacks.
Several intercept lines where groups can be stationed so they overlap as much as possible, meaning where we can't reach, another group should reach and create a wall for the enemy that they cannot overcome.
Boris, commander of an interceptor drone platoon, says once an enemy UAV is on radar, the crew has only a few minutes to destroy it.
You know where it can be intercepted? Yeah, basically a minute, maybe 2 at most. After that, the chances of catching up to it are very slim. In February, we had 2 confirmed hits and 2 hits where no detonation occurred.
There can be several interceptor launches a night, but if no target is found, pilots return them to base.
We had a night with 10 launches, and we didn't detect a single one. Well, I mean, you roughly know where to look, roughly where. Our policy is, if you don't find anything there and it's possible to return, we return.
To counter Russian shaheds, in 2024, Ukraine designed and later launched into mass production interceptor drones such as Sting, Pivinson, and others. The whole world is now interested in these Ukrainian defense industry developments, as the war in the Middle East showed the danger of shaheds.
If critical infrastructure facilities are equipped with such automatic or semi-automatic systems, then that's likely the future.
As Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy reported, Ukraine received drone supply requests from 11 countries, and several groups of Ukrainian military have already gone to Middle Eastern countries for consultations on countering. Shades, Natalia Belokudria for Freedom TV Chow.